You may have seen some of our videos in the past where we've covered a huge drop in sales of some of the biggest games out there. One common theory is that the rise in digital sales might be to blame. Well, it turns out that that theory might be way more accurate than we first imagined.
The NPD Group, a market research company, have recently released a revised report about the overall growth of the games industry. Previous reports only measured growth through physical, retail and hardware sales. In other words, what you buy in a box from a shop or off somewhere like Amazon. They didn't factor in digital sales due to the lack of concrete facts and figures. In 2015, NPD reported consumer spending on gaming products was estimated at around $16.5 billion in the US. A lot of money. But it turns out the real figure is actually way bigger. When you include digital sales, video game spending in 2015 was actually at $23.2 billion, which is 40% higher than they originally estimated. All because they didn't realize how important digital sales and downloads are in video games.
So this NPD group, it's their job to get statistics. They guessed at the figures for digital sales and they were completely wrong.
Yeah.
NPD, more like not proper data.
That's a massive gap. I mean, to think that they originally thought it was 16 odd billion or whatever, and then they've added another 7 billion roughly on top of that. That's a huge amount of money, and they just got it way off. As a result, all of us, everyone who reported on this stuff got it way off as well. All those figures that we saw, you know, about decline, the market shrinking, AAA sales are down. Yeah. It all comes from this exact same principle that digital sales, there's not enough data for it. Actually, it's enormous when they can get data. For some reason, publishers have been pretty reluctant to share it.
Can you rely on these figures when, oh yeah, last time, yeah, we guessed that the figures were such and such.
This guess,
like,
though.
Oh, by the way, yeah, this guess is just totally nailed on. But most importantly, the old report seemed to indicate that the games industry was facing a market decline, whereas the revised report actually shows the industry has been growing at a rate of around a healthy 5 to 8% year on year since 2012. So all those articles or videos you might have seen about failing video game sales and the possibility of another video game crash were in fact fucking wrong, and that includes us.
We're not ashamed to admit that.
Well, it's great news though for the industry. I mean, it's growing. It's like 40% higher than it was. But they basically had the industry plateauing. Yeah. Which was kind of bad. You want things to be going the right direction. It's up there, like it's 40% high. I mean, it's great news for investors, people who want to make money out of making games. Great news for us in the long run as well, because it's going from strength to strength. What does concern me though is that where they're making this money, I think a lot of information that they were missing was the microtransaction things and the DLC kind of data.
Which are all purchases, aren't they? The money that people are spending, and that just wasn't being factored in. All they had was the full game. So often the case now, you'll buy the game, a lot of people will buy the season pass for some reason as well. In some cases, almost double the amount of expenditure, and that because that season pass is a digital product a lot of the time, that just doesn't get counted. It doesn't factor into these people's estimations.
It's just another example of, yet again, someone underestimating how important gaming is in modern culture. I mean, this research data company who do it for a living got it completely wrong. Like, gaming is stronger than ever and it's going in the right direction. So don't let anybody tell you there's going to be another crash, because they're talking shit.
Even if it's us. NPD themselves said this revised report was only possible because publishers finally provided them with digital sales figures, factoring in things like mobile games, microtransactions, and DLC. Before this, they were only able to obtain retail figures. That lack of data meant that NPD greatly underestimated the impact that digital distribution is actually having on the games industry. Their report mentions that 6 years ago, 2/3 of game sales were physical. In those 6 years since, physical sales fell by almost 50%, whereas digital sales actually tripled. This information just reiterates how important digital sales are to the games industry and shows how in recent years consumers have been changing the way they buy their games.
All this shouldn't come as much of a surprise, since back in 2013 EA announced that the majority of its income were in fact from digital sales. And even further back in 2012 they announced preparations to go 100% digital. Now what would that look like? Like no physical copies of EA games it at all?
That's what they want, because they get full control. You know, they want you on Origin and stuff on PC because they get all the money. They don't have to share it.
More money.
Yeah, they don't have to share it with the retailer. They don't have to make the games. They don't have to print them and get cases. It saves a lot of money.
There's no pre-owned market.
Pure money, isn't it? So you can see it's a no-brainer for them. For us, it's kind of not the same, because pre-owned and things like that are still important to a lot of people. We've been able to resell your games. You buy your game in a box, it still holds value because you can sell it to someone else. You can let someone borrow it. It's just not the same with digital. There's pros and cons all over the place. So it's a big debate, a discussion worth having, but we'll do that another time. Well, this report shows that digital is now the biggest source of income in gaming. So maybe an all-digital future isn't actually that far off.
With all that said, there are two main things to take away from this video. First being, never trust a data research company who guesses its figures for 7 years. And two, the game industry is definitely on the way up.
Alright then guys, how do you feel about the prospect of an all-digital future? Is that something you'd look forward to, or do you like a good boxed game? Let us know down in the comments. Remember to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. There's some more content right here for you, and a link to Patreon if you want to support the channel. We'll see you next time.